Okay, welcome everybody to our Community Matters Committee meeting, Wednesday, 23rd of April, 7:30. I will just go through the usual housekeeping. So fire safety and exiting the building. We're not expecting any fire alarms, so if anybody does hear anything, it will be an actual evacuation. Our fire exits are there and through there. Anyway, you can see our convening point is just in the car park opposite. So yeah, we'll count us in and count us out. Apologies for absence then. We have got...
Yes, thank you, Joe. We've got apologies from Councillor Cartwright and Councillor Eastman.
Okay, so I can propose that, and if somebody can give a second, and that's all of us in favour of the absences. The absence. Yes. I'm afraid so, Mike, sorry.
Well, I don't know if I get a vote. Well, I do.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm standing instead of Jenny.
Of Jenny, yep. No, Agenda item number 3. Sorry, Janet.
I noticed on the agenda that we were supposed to have CAMS and the youth club today.
Yes.
Giving presentations.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Ah,
and
brilliant.
We've got him coming as well in person.
Brilliant.
Okay, back to number 3, declarations of councillors' interests and any requests for dispensation. I'll start on my left, David.
None that I'm aware of.
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 None that I'm aware of. None that I'm aware of.
And none for me as well, Steve. So that's a full house there. Okay, moving on to number 4 then, the chairman's update report. So the briefest of updates on the Swift box scheme. So we've got a couple of Swift boxes that have now been erected onto the outside of the building. Done so while we've got the builders here working as well. We have got a small issue with the Wi-Fi and the connection, so we're just moving a couple of the router boxes around upstairs just to get a stronger signal so we can maintain those. So as soon as the Swifts arrive, we can get the cameras in operation, and everybody can look at those through the Wild Portishead website. Yeah, nothing else to add on that, but yeah, we shall keep it under review and get those operational hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Next thing we just wanted to make a mention to is the VE Day commemoration service, which is on Saturday the 10th of May, so just a couple of Saturdays away, at St Peter's Church. The service is at 10:45. I think it's pretty sort of fully elected at the moment in terms of space allocation, but certainly if anybody wants to attend that, just it's a note of the time and the date. And we just wanted to add one extra point on in terms of our sort of verbal communication, that's on the car parking.
Thanks, Chair. It's just to say that last week North Somerset Council gave notice of their introduction of parking charges at the Roath Road car park, which is not unexpected. They're going to charge up to £3.50 for parking between 9 to 6 p.m. And they're going to make resident parking permits available at £60 per annum. They've made no allowance for displacement parking as far as I can see from the consultation, nor have they made parking permits accessible to high street shop owners and volunteers who work in charity shops on the high street. So those are things we might feed back to them. The deadline for responding to them, and it's by email or letter to David Bailey, and I think we can make those contact details available through our Facebook page, is the 9th of May.
Yeah, we'll put that on the on our update that we agree at the end of the meeting as well. But yeah, just and if in time, probably request that it goes on the PAG agenda just as a verbal update as well, given its planning sort of guys as well. So Okay, moving on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't here, so I don't know, David, if you can, obviously
Happy
checked
to
over, but
sign.
yeah.
Chair, if others are happy with them, I've checked them through myself and they are in order.
Yeah, so David proposing, can we have a second? Roger to second, and all of those in favour that were here? Yep, fantastic. Yeah, no worries. There we go. Excellent. Moving on to item number 6, then public participation. Paul, we've got an update for Portishead Carnival as well. Don't know. We've got Mike online. We've got Sam and Sharon. No other members of the public, unless Mike, you wanted to say anything. No, fantastic. Do you want to come up? Do you want to carry on with your update first, and then we can move on to you do indeed. You do indeed. So yeah, push the button, introduce yourself, and then we can have an update we've all been waiting for.
Hi, my name is Paul Casey, and I'm here to update on the carnival for. I started by first of all thanking the committee because last time I was here, you kindly granted us, which set us a large way on our travels. So we do thank you for that, and I think everyone in the community will once we deliver. The easiest way to update on the carnival, I suppose, is to knock it into 2 phases because that's the way everyone knows it. First of all, on the parade side, we're sticking to the old conventional route and the old conventional timings. At the moment, we have 23 entries into the procession, which doesn't sound a lot, but first of all, those 23 they don't get counted in until 1, they've done all their booking requirements, 2, they've gone through the health and safety system, and 3, they produced their insurance. And it's only at that point we classify them as in. So we're only at 23 on that. But again, because we've now got all the schools involved and the rugby club and other places, 23 doesn't sound a lot, but one school, for example, is planning on putting walking groups from every year. So that 1 entry technically becomes the equivalent of 5 or 6. So there's various entries of that degree. So a question a lot of people ask is, how big will the parade be? We don't know. How long's a piece of string? It will go as long as it goes, and we will cope with it on the day, as they say. So that's the entries. The route's the same. We've run into issues with the law changes on counter-terrorism. So we've had to address the parade there. So originally the parade was always monitored just by marshals. We've now brought in outside security, which will walk with the parade additionally at the front, the rear and the flanks. We will be recording on the front and the rear of the parade as we go through. Also, everyone now, all the marshals and all the staff have already been through all the counter-terrorism training and they've received their certification. Members in the parade have also done the educational phase, and members of the field team have also done the security phase, and some of us have done all 3, just so we're fully aware of the differences when dealing with different groups. So that's been an additional burden, but we're there. We're pleased to say. So I don't want people to be alarmed when they see security on the parade. That is just basically the way it's going to be from now on, and we've got no choice in that. And again, it's a cost we could have done without, but we can absorb it. So that's pretty much the parade bit. Now, apart from, there's a few admin points we still got to square away. We are still hoping the offer of using the forecourt of the folk hall is available for judges. We're still hoping that the offer of a few judges is on the table, so we can get that tied away. And then the timings, and the parade will obviously halt and pause outside the folk hall for the judging, and then all the results go down the bottom. We're at 14 cups to be awarded. Yeah. The way we're going, it's pretty much enter a team, you win, isn't it? Everyone's got to participate. So we're moving quite strongly on the parade, and I think the parade, we've had our draft order for the road closures through. So we're pretty squared away with volunteers as well. And the way we're operating the volunteers is slightly different, a bit more regimental fight, I'm afraid. No more casual turn up when you like. We've tried to tie down the key marshal jobs to organisations. So, for example, on the parade, what we're calling control marshals are all members of the Lions Club. They will brief and coordinate. And the control marshals really are the marshals that are only responsible for making sure the parade keeps moving. If gaps are forming, they signal to stop it or slow it down. If the kids are starting to struggle, that sort of thing. So they're called control marshals, and they're all from one agency. And then our volunteer marshals will be the ones that are just basically where we've got high choke points of population to keep them on the pavement and off the road. And the only additional measure to that is where the parade changes direction, we're installing street barriers as well. So wherever one of these wagons need to move to keep everyone back, there will be marshals and barriers, and then on the straights and the home runs, it'll just be marshals. I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about the parade, unless you have any questions.
No, I think it's from, I know you've been speaking with Nikki a lot and going through everything. And I think it's just hopefully to give you a platform here so we can actually explain the amount of behind the scenes work that you guys are having to do just to get this up and running, because it's a mammoth and professional, sort of project that you're running here. And, that I guess it's also to get the message out to the public to sort of give generously on the day as well, because if this needs to continue, all of this work is work that's going to happen year in, year out. It doesn't just happen automatically. It's not, it's not something that you can do very quickly, or it's not something that, time and effort doesn't go into actually sort of preparing. So, go on, Roger, yeah.
I was just going to say, you said there's going to be 23, or currently you're at 23 entrants in the parade. I have seen carnivals with far less, so I would not worry about that. Hopefully some more may turn up, but 23 is a good number anyway.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good that you've got that level of support already.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the biggest problem we've had is within the primary schools, that no kid in primary school has ever seen carnival. The last time carnival happened, they were in buggies and pushchairs. So we've had a very good response from primary schools once committee members have gone in, explained, demonstrated. I mean, St. Peter's were very good. They actually held a carnival day where you paid £1 to go in your clothes. You learn all about carnival, and obviously the money they raise goes towards building their float. So there's some good initiative going on there in the community to try and get, but we were quite shocked. But when we sat and thought about it, the reality kicked in that no, none of these kids have seen carnival.
Yeah.
So that is going to be quite a refreshing thing.
Yep.
To come back. We have a royal family for the parade. We have the prince and princesses, which were selected at the youth centre. We've brought also back the adult king and queen, which have been appointed by members voting on the community to appoint the people that they want to see who's done a good cause. So we have a full house on the royal family. So that's something a lot of people will see. Well, we're looking for work for them. So if you have any commitments you need to fulfil, please let us know, because we are trying to give them proactive roles within the community. If you go back in time, they did various duties. Yep. And it'd be nice to see the family re-employed and used as a benefit to the community as well as the carnival.
Janet, you wanted to?
2 small points. Are you aware that there's a little bit at the top there about the carnival?
No, I wasn't.
One of the carnivals many years ago. So I think that might be of interest to you. And the other thing is, I'm going to be in the parade with my dog.
I was looking up for that. And sneaky peeks into what the youth Centre are going to be doing as well. So
Right.
so yeah, Kim's just coming behind you, so that's why it's like stuck in. But yeah, so I mean, it's just going to be a fantastic event, isn't it?
But the parade should be very good. Well, the parade, I've got to be honest, the parade is the parade. It's a templated format. Where all the work on the parade has gone into is the legislation, the insurances, the paperwork, the risk assessments, the security assessments, the terrorism assessments, and everything else that needs doing, as well as the street closures. And because it's a rolling street closure, although we're using North Somerset Highways Executive Branch, they've never done a rolling road closure. So it's going to be a learning curve for everyone, which is why we've kept the timings quite loose on the parade. It will take as long to get there as it takes to get there. But, you know, if we arrive at the show field at 1300, they've done well. We've got little troopers on the ground. But realistically, 1330 is going to be about, you know, you can't complain about a 30-minute difference. So,
do you want to just summarise the times, Paul? So
main timings on the day, the road closures will start down at the Lake Ground at 10 o'clock in the morning. So there will be a security briefing for marshals at the Lake Grounds at 9:45. First road closure, which is basically just the Esplanade that's closed off to traffic, at 10. Parade starts forming up between 10 and 11:30. 11:30 there's a final brief for all marshals and participants, and at 12 o'clock they set off, due to arrive, as I say, by 13:30 at the show field. The show field will open at 12:30. That's open for setup from on the Friday and the Saturday. There's a no vehicle movement plan on the field from 11:45. Security briefing at 12. Fire alarm tests, and then the gates open at 12:30, and then that will run till 1800.
fantastic.
And at 1800, we all go and get married.
And well deserved as well. So here we do.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask a slightly technical question, but did North Somerset charge you for the road closures, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is acceptable.
And did they charge you for the licenses?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I just want to I want to go and double check some things down at North Somerset on that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure I got my facts straight. But
we went with them. They were the most expensive, but there's a lot of buts involved. First of all, they know the local highways. Secondly, they have all the signage. Their pricing includes putting out all the 2-weekly early warning notices signs around the town and providing them, and they're all sign written for Carnival, so they're reusable every year. So again, that's just a one-off first-year cost, which will gain back on its next year. The insurance, the staff qualifications, the staff training, the other vehicles they got available. So, for example, at the rear of the parade will be one of their tailing signs with the illumination warning people not to follow the parade, because we've assessed that one of the biggest risks is parents watch the parade go past, little Johnny's in the parade, they want to get down to the school to meet little Johnny, but the pavements are packed, so what do? They jump on the road, and then suddenly they're trying to pass the parade to get to the other end quick. So they are also doing that within the remit as well. And the other thing they're doing is they're providing us the loan of the long-range communications, the sat radios that will be able to communicate from the Lake Ground to the field. So we do have overall control throughout the whole thing. If we had to buy or rent those in alone, well, buy would be an impossibility for the technology involved in them and the cost of them. And if we had to rent them, it'd just be a cost we could have done without. So I do think sometimes you get what you pay for, and I think it was the sensible decision to evaluate their quote. Well, they're the most expensive. I think it was the most safest and cost-effective long-term.
The only reason I ask is because I wanted to ensure that we are being treated the same way as Western Carnival gets treated. And if Western Carnival gets anything, then we should get the same. So I just wanted to check where we were.
If we are receiving anything different, I would say it's from the events team, and I'll sum up on that at the end. So that's basically the parade, and the field is obviously where we've made the most changes. We've done what we can with the budget available. We're currently coming in on a balance line of 33,000, which includes probably around about 8,000 first year costs. As you know, for all the policy documentation involved, etc. The show field will open. We've got 4 small bars. We've distributed the bars around. It makes it easier for us for security. The field operates a very strict Challenge 25 policy. Everyone will work under our premises license. Each bar will have security representation, depending on how busy, but at least one throughout all periods of trading. They're responsible for their own rubbish and their own recycling and removal of their own wastewater from site, with a traditional no pouring waste down the toilet or in the drains. So we're quite squared away there. The recycling on site and the waste removal is again being done by North Somerset, which is a fantastic deal. In fact, it's too good that I still struggle to believe it, that they provide all the bins, all the recycle bins. They come and set it all up for you. They come and take them all away for free. And the only thing they charge you for is the tonnage on your general waste, which is brilliant. As an organisation trying to run an event like this, you can imagine if you're running around a field with 50 black bins, 200 bin bags, and you're trying to keep on top of it. So I think that service is an excellent one. Their price is quite templated at the moment. It's running around about £180 a tonne. So we're estimating. We'd like to think with all the recycling facilities on the site, because they'll also have one of their wagons on the site as well, throughout the day to pitch their services, so to say, but also to educate on recycling, and hopefully some sort of kiddies interactive game regarding recycling, to help them understand. So with everything they're providing, again, it's a service that you couldn't refuse. Security is coming in from Wales, although they do have a sub-office in Bristol, and they're experienced in both parades, events, and working with councils. So they are quite experienced and quite established, with good references and good qualifications. And they wrote our counter-terrorism plan for the parade and the show field as well. So that's pretty much the field. Stall bookings, we have just over 50 confirmed. And as I say, confirmed means that's it, you're in. We still have others on the book, some waiting payment, some waiting copy of insurance, some waiting risk assessments. But those numbers will fluctuate, but I don't think by many at the moment. And we've got 6 food vacatures, all different types. We've tried to spread it to give everyone a bit of everything. And the arena. Now, because of the counter-terrorism, we've also had to up this amount of barriers we need, because being over an event of over 800, we now need to do bag search. So we've had to reconfigure our entrance ways in 2 ways. One, to get people off the highways and into the entrance of the field as quickly as possible, because we need to reopen the road. And what we don't want is queues of people going back down Lipgate or Clapton Lane. So we've had to sacrifice a bit of the field to create a bigger gantry into the field, create an extra bag search lane, and then we'll work the numbers on random bag searches as people go through. So,
the advice would be travel light.
Yeah, and we hope so. We're hoping that people are just going to come and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
We want people to bring their picnics if that's what they want to do. We want them to bring their chairs, their blankets to enjoy the music and the arena. And the arena's filled up quite well as well. So on the stage we have 2 local bands who will be entertaining at various slots throughout the afternoon. And in the arena we've got a mixture of marching bands, dance troupes. I even think we've got posset singers at one point. I'm pretty sure we have. And then finishing the afternoon off in the arena with the It's a Knockout competition, which again is something new to just G people up and get them going. But we will see. So the field is quite full. We are very limited on space now. Some of that is because some stallholders have booked bigger spaces than we imagined, which is good. If they can fill it, they can fill it. And the other reason is because we've lost quite a large chunk to security and administration. But then if that's the way it's going to be, at least we can work with it moving forward. So that's pretty much the field. Brochures have now gone to print. They went tonight, so hopefully by Monday morning we should have brochures out and about. Banners should be in next week to start advertising around town. And I think that's pretty much where we're all go at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I know I think we've got some feedback from North Somerset in regard to the events team, which I know you've been through with Nikki as well. And I think she's going to be taking that up as well. So it's not falling on deaf ears.
I think the problem with the events team, there's a lack of comprehension of what's involved. I get the impression when dealing with them, they know exactly what form you need to fill in and which box you need to tick. What they don't comprehend, we're at 15,000 already. And they're not even closing our application for license until 29th of this month. So we're at 15,000, that's just on deposits, services we've had to secure and everything else. That's a lot of exposure. Now, I appreciate that it reopened because of the law change, and Murphy's Law is quite complex, and it's to go through it in your own time. It's quite consuming. To then think you've now got to try and get all your staff, all your marshals and everybody else through a 45 to 50 minute training package in one coordinated effort. It's quite a chore. And I think there's a lack of comprehension of timeframes when booking things, because if we didn't book anything last year, it's not going to be available this year. The timeframes of deposits paid, and then as you get closer, there's another drawdown on payment. So the longer you're exposed without that license, the more financial exposure you're taking with community money. And I think that's wrong. I think if we're going to spend community money, we need that signed off that, community money comes in, that's where it's going to go.
Yeah. It's to the wire, isn't it, more or less?
It's absolutely to the wire. And May is our, as we said in the last meeting, May is our cash flow month. Which is the only reason we've gone to print, is because we need those programs out and sell, because May is your final bills are due. And you want to be starting that parade with your bills paid and in credit, ready so that whatever happens on the day, come rain or shine, you've got no financial exposure. So if we're not down on the lake ground with the account in the black, we haven't really done our job very well.
What's the cause of the delay?
It's their process.
What's it been with them for?
7 months. Because you're so far ahead, they don't treat you as a priority because they got other events to push through before. Now, because we're new on the circuit, when the SAG meeting come up, the way I interpret the SAG is that SAG will come into implementation if it's a new event of a large scale, i.e. over 800 people, or it's a new committee running an event. Well, they classified us on two issues, which was one as a new committee, which is understandable, but also two, because Carnival hasn't happened for so long, they classified that as a new event. So we had to go right back to basics. And of course, there's no historic paperwork for Carnival. There's no historic records for Carnival. It was all done on a whim and a prayer. So we've had a standing start with them. The SAG then comes into force, but then you've got to get scheduled on a SAG meeting, because I'm under the impression they have once a month, is what we're informed, and then you've got to wait for a slot. So we didn't get that until earlier this month, at the beginning of this month. Of course, when you SAG meeting, you've got to then wait for your notes to come back, then you've got to implement. But then they open it up again and they give you a ridiculous. I mean, we're ready to go now. All our updates and amendments are done, but they won't close it down until the 29th when they reassess it. So you can phone them and say, look, we're ready to go. They won't touch it. There's no human interaction involved, to the extent that we understand you've got bills to pay, we understand you need clarity, we understand you need this, but it's almost something like you'd find in the army, where 31st of March comes, right, you've got to take your jumper off. I don't care if it's snowing, because 31st of March you've got to go in shirt sleeve order, and that is how this department operates from the outside. As a user, it's not very user friendly. If you want to know what form to fill in, they are perfect. If you want to say to them, is there any issues with that form? They are perfect. When you try to talk actual events and to try and get them to look outside the box at the issues you're facing, they're not very good. Yeah. They're not very user-friendly. I'm not saying they're not very good. They're obviously good at their job, because events go ahead and they proceed and they push through. So they are good at their job. I think there's a very lack of user awareness. What is the user going through when it comes to us, looking for this advice or looking for that form or looking for this form? And it's quite a minefield, the whole event scenario at the moment.
It sounds like, apart from the new counter-terrorism hoops you've got to jump through, that sounds like the major stress for you, waiting for the licensing to come through.
Well, I think we're squared away. I mean, a lot of when you go through it, they use a lot of big words, terminology, a lot of catchphrases. Once you decipher and work your way through it, the counter-terrorism safety briefings, they're quite simple to put together and to deliver them in a simplified format. Because I remember, whenever you're working off the government website, you're looking, they're addressing the masses at a certain level of society, and they're probably presuming business owners, organisers, that sort of thing. When you then say to the general public, I want you to watch this 45-minute video, so we are finding ways to break it down, to get them through the course, but in a more deliverable fashion, that one doesn't terrify them, because some of the videos you watch on the course, you think, yeah, I get that, and I can see the consequences of it. And so it has caused problems, I'll be honest with you, and it's caused us extra finance. But I think we're confident with it. I think once we deliver this one, next year should be a lot easier for us, because hopefully we won't have to go back to SAG. Hopefully there'll be no more law changes. And we'll be financially more stable to start planning and preparing earlier as well. So I do think
this year's experience under your belts as well, isn't it? So
this year has been an experience. A lot of things coming out of woodwork, a lot of things coming out of cupboards, getting you from the sides that you weren't aware about. But we're there. We are totally squared away on our event plan. All our risk assessment policies are done. Our safety policies are done. Our finances are in good order. Everything's booked that needs booking. Our marshal response is quite positive. So yeah, the only thing we've got next on the major event, once the brochures come out, we have a Marshals training day on the 10th of May, basically to knock on the head all the counter-terrorism and all the risk assessments, and then hopefully on the day we've only got a quick revision briefing just to remind people of the main issues of the point, and we're not wasting valuable daytime on the actual D-Day. We can just get in, deliver a quick summary, update people, refresh people, and then we should be good to go.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Yeah, no, thank you. Janet and Roger. Yeah.
Can I just say thank you so much? This sounds so much more detailed than I would have thought, but how sad that we have to think about counter-terrorism.
It is, but unfortunately, what I feel sad for is a lot of existing organisations, because we're quite lucky, because we are launching afresh. We're coming in with a fresh plan. Events that have historically run are now, I think, going to have to look at the way they run and address the issues. And there are quite a few, issues to be addressed, from not just security of bag searches. If you've got over 800 people, you've got access, the barriers, the threat from vehicles, there's so much more now. I think the way I'm feeling at the moment, it's not going to be long before the school will struggle to do a summer fete, because if it hits that 800 number, and yet the school wants that 800 number to make the money, otherwise it wouldn't have the fete. So the kids lose out and the school lose out. So I do think that we are on the borderline, that unless some quick, sensible solution that can be boxed together for the smaller events, because I would call school fete of 800 a small event because it's in the school grounds, etc. But the way the government's now classifying it is a major event.
Yeah.
Which totally changes the whole law for them. Yeah.
Roger, do you want to?
Yeah, no, just to say, I think the people of Portishead love the carnival. I think they have absolutely no idea of what a major undertaking it is to put a carnival on, not just the procession, but the field as well. And as you said, everything that goes around it. I think we should extend our thanks to you and your team for actually taking this challenge on and doing such a good job. And I look forward to getting reports back of what an excellent day it's going to be. Unfortunately, even though I was supposed to be there, my wife has booked me something special that she won't tell me what it is. It's a special birthday for me, so I won't be able to make it.
Yeah, it's a day at the carnival.
On that whole weekend. What was she thinking? I know, but thank you very much to you and your team for everything you've done. And I hope this is the first of many carnivals to come in Portishead.
It will be, and we've documented everything. So, if I get run over walking out of here, someone can pick up that folder and deliver absolutely everything. With no,
hope not.
Well, and it's the wife who started the committee and chairs the committee. I'm just the husband who does what he's told for an easy life. So I was only supposed to be involved in the field, and then duties expanded as she saw fit. But thank you again anyway, to everyone, and hopefully it'll be a good day. I would like to come and have a look, because if you go to the website, there's been quite a lot of research done on the history of the carnival, with old clippings and photos.
Have a quick look.
Move on. It's taken some narrate the back.
Yeah, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. I'm afraid for those online, you're missing out. Okay, so we'll carry on in Janet's absence, and we'll come. So, thank you. We haven't got anybody else that's joined us online, so we'll move on to agenda item number 7. So we've got representatives from both CAN, so Citizens Advice North Somerset, who stands up there, and Kim's here from Portishead Youth and Community Centre, with updates in regards their work, and sort of a of the annual reports, really, I guess, in terms of that. The grant funding for this coming year is due for release at the end of April. So in line with that, it's 2 SLA presentations to have. So I don't know, Sam, if you're free to run through yours, and then Kim, you can come up, if that's okay. Sam, should we come over to you? Yeah. Bear with this one. Can we unmute you?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. Fantastic.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see some of you again. Nice to meet some of you. My name's Sam. I'm the Advice Service Manager for the Generalist Service, Social Prescribing, and all of the outreaches across North Somerset. Most of you will be used to seeing Rich here instead of me, but he did have the audacity to retire for a second time, and so you get me instead. I will, if it's okay, just run through some overview of the last financial year to give you guys an update on the impact we've made for Portishead residents, and then give you a proposed view of how we are hoping to go forwards. So in terms of a review of the last financial year, we helped 377 Portishead residents with just under 2,500 issues, which is a lot. And we completed just over 3,000 activities. So that will be phone calls, emails, in-person contacts, the whole range of work for Portishead residents, and 11% of those were in person. We increased residents' income in Portishead by approximately £140,000 a year. And we also helped residents to manage or write off about £10,000 of debt. Our top issues for Portishead residents were benefits, debt, housing and energy. Not surprising, as we continue to see the cost of living crisis biting, even though it's not so talked about in the media and by politicians anymore from a more national standpoint, but we are definitely still seeing it at a grassroots perspective. More than 60% of the people that we have helped in the last 12 months identified as having a long-term health condition or a disability, which for us is important because it means that we are making sure that we see those really vulnerable clients. And obviously it's why it's so important for us to be physically in Portishead. PIP and income maximisation generally were the highest demand issues, especially around benefits, which again, with the cost of living crisis, it's not unexpected. And social water tariff applications to Bristol Water was our biggest debt issue. So in terms of that, we're really lucky to have our lovely colleague Helen, who works specifically with Bristol Water and helps clients to get their Bristol Water tariffs down to as low as £1 a month. If they have any debt as well, at the end of that 2-year payment plan, any debt that's outstanding will be written off, which is really great. So it's great for the residents of Portishead because obviously it can save them a significant amount of money each month, which we love. So we are proposing to develop our service a little bit within Portishead. So the way we've been delivering it up until now is out of the Beacon Hub. Lovely team, amazing. They've been so lovely for us. We have come to the tricky point though, where the demand for our services from Portishead residents was too much for one person. So we were having 2 people plus Claire, who we love working with. She's amazing. But we came to a point where it's sad for us and tricky for us, but obviously we are so pleased to see that the Beacon Hub, especially the cafe, has taken off massively, which has been fantastic for them, and we're really pleased. But it made confidentiality a little bit tricky, and approximately this time last year, we were looking to see if there was more space available in Portishead, and there wasn't at that point. So we have been speaking to Portishead, some town councillors and Nikki and Claire, and we would like to put forward a proposal to move our service from the Beacon Hub into the Folk Hall on a Friday, which would allow us the space to expand our service. So our proposal is that if possible, we would move into the new location from Friday the 6th of June. So it would allow, with your obviously permission, for Claire and 2 of our advisors to consistently deliver services from the Folk Hall on a Friday. We would be on site from 8:30 until 5, and the service would be open to residents from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And the only reason we say 4:30 p.m. is because if people were to drop in later than that, it doesn't really give enough time for quality advice signposting to be given. We would use a combination of pre-booked appointments, ability for residents to see an advisor on a drop-in basis, and obviously, with your permission, we'd be really grateful to have Claire alongside us as well. We have looked at service delivery, and we are aware that us moving into the folk hall would create maybe some different people attending the town hall, which could be a really good thing, could be slightly challenging. So we have put forward a few things to make it a little bit easier. So we have provisionally booked a meeting for our training team to come and speak to the staff team at Portishead Town Council, just to give a general overview of what our service does, how we can help certain groups of people that we can't help. So, for instance, landlords, just for conflict of interest purposes. We have also made sure that we have sent across our professional referral form, which is a Microsoft Office form, which comes directly into our inbox. So if someone drops in during the week, you guys would have the ability to complete that quick form and send it across to us. And obviously we would continue and do our thing and phone the client and check things through. And as an addition to that, we have proposed our postbox option. So we have a self-referral paper form option. The only thing we kind of require from the council team is to keep the postbox, to keep them all together in a safe place. And if people drop in during the week, you can just get people to fill them in, put them in the postbox, and then the advisor, which generally will be Sue, will empty that each week, obviously add everybody that's dropped in into our system, and then we will contact them in the way that they prefer, which is what we try to do as much as possible. We have also proposed, because we originally set up our service level agreement with you guys in 2022, obviously the world is a very different place since then. So our proposal would be, if you are happy to approve us moving into the folk hall, is that in December, January time, we end our service level agreement early, so a year early that would be, and we review it just to make sure that it works for both Portishead Town Council, Portishead residents and ourselves, and to make sure that we take any learning from the new location into consideration, because there may be issues that crop up that we aren't quite prepared for. So yes, that is everything. Does anybody have any questions? Janet.
How do you know it's Janet, by the way?
Because Sue talks about you all the time and tells me how wonderful you are. And she's like, I'm all right on a Friday afternoon. Janet comes and sits with me, and she showed me the birthday cake that you guys made for her.
Oh, good. That's lovely. Just one thing about publicity.
Yes.
I've spoken to Claire and Sue, and I've said that I'm very happy if somebody can produce a leaflet to take it along to Food Bank and to the pubs and various places, so that people can pick a leaflet up to make sure they know that CANS has moved. But I'll need some leaflets, please.
Absolutely not a problem. So pending, obviously, your guys' approval, then my comms officer Alice will be linked up with your guys' comms officer, and we will make sure you have all the comms materials that you need regarding the move.
David, do you want to? Oh, sorry, Janet, if you've finished.
I'm also happy to give them out in the precinct and places like that.
Fabulous. Thank you, Janet.
Very often it's just individual contact that's the most important thing.
100%.
Thanks, Sam. Great report, and it's reassuring to see the numbers of clients cans are seeing has decreased slightly in the last 6 months, I think, which is, I guess, an indication that things maybe are a little bit better for people. That's quite hard to believe. Just a couple of questions. In terms of the change of where you see people, your report says you saw 370, or you helped 377 Portishead residents,
Yeah.
which is great, but only 11% in person, which means you're seeing about 37 people in person a year.
Sorry, that was contacts. So when I talk about, let me just go back to my numbers. So when we talk about activities, so that is all types of contacts with clients. So our total for those 377 clients, we completed 3,250 activities, which will be phone calls, seeing people, etc. So we had 370 in-person contacts in the last 12 months. So it's difficult to do it on just purely on a numbers basis, because so many clients, so some clients will be return clients, so we'll see them multiple times, and some clients will, for instance, we have some clients who can't leave their homes, so they will have to be phone, they will have to be email. But yeah, it was 370, if that helps.
Okay, so that seems quite a relative. So if you do, so that's about 8 people a week. And so when you come to the focal, will you be using the main focal or just? Yeah. Okay. And do you have people who can't get to see you? Does you kind of do you have to turn people away because you're fully booked?
We don't turn people away. It's something that is really important to me, is that we don't turn people away. Sometimes we have to redirect people to a more appropriate service depending on what their query is. So for instance, if someone has a legal query, but we have quite often had a situation where we could book Portishead appointments. Bear in mind so we have 4 pre-booked appointments a day. And in and around those, the other 4 people have been seen. Obviously, depending on whether we've had enough space to have a second person in there. If we have, then that's great. If we haven't, then Sue is still finding ways to see people around those booked appointments. She's really good. So what I would say is we end up booked up 2-3 weeks in advance for Portishead appointments, which for me is a little too far ahead. If I had the choice, I wouldn't book more than a week ahead, and that's just around the demand. But additionally, sometimes, like, we do have a lot of drop-ins in the Portishead outreach, and so to have somebody there who is dedicated, who can take somebody to one side and who can work alongside Claire to kind of greet people and deal with their issues and things, will be much better, because it means that that person can drop in and get full advice rather than getting initial advice and having to be booked in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. So I think it's a better service for the residents of Portishead. It's more efficient and more streamlined.
Okay, couple more quick questions, sorry. Yeah. I know I was due to meet you at some point, but we never quite got around to it. So my dad was a CAB volunteer in the very distant past, and I just wondered whether all the staff who come here are paid staff or whether some are volunteers, how you balance that out.
So Sue comes every week, so she's a paid member of staff. Previously, when we had a second person, it was a lady called Liz, who's one of our volunteers, and we are really keen to get our volunteers back out to the outreaches because they really miss that, and it's really important to them. It will be a balance of paid and volunteer, but it depends on, obviously, people's availability and things like that. And our volunteers are really important. They're our lifeblood, but obviously sometimes they might not be available because they might want to go and do exotic things like go on holidays. But so yeah, we tend to have
I don't want to hog the question, so I know Mike's had his hand up. There's one other thing from me. Oftentimes in this committee, we've talked about Claire's role, and I know she's sat alongside you, and it'd be really helpful to hear from your perspective, how that kind of your team and Claire work together, what the complementarities are, what the individual aspects of the role that Claire does, do you see what I'm, do you see what
yeah, I do. So Sue and Claire have worked together pretty much since day one of us being back in Portishead Outreaches after COVID, and Claire is instrumental in supporting us to deliver a great service, because it means that she's got amazing local knowledge, just incredible. She has been fantastic at diffusing situations before a client even gets to those practical steps and seeing for full-blown advice. She can also identify those local services, those wellbeing services. And if someone does pop in just for a quick, I need to know how to do this, or I feel very isolated at home, how do I access other community services, she is really great at doing all of those things. That doesn't require what we would consider full-blown advice. That is obviously takes time and etc. Does that answer your question?
I'm aware I've taken up a lot of time, so I know Mike's got some questions. It looks like the other Mike's got his hand up too.
Mike, should we come to you?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Some of this is perhaps because I'm relatively new, so I'm trying to fill in the dots. Obviously, 2 people is better from CAB is better than 1 person. So I was interested in how long did we have 2 people for before we went down to 1? And do you think you'll be able to sustain this arrangement with 2 people?
Yes, I do. So we had 2 people up until Christmas. So 2 things happened at Christmas. A, it became really, really busy in the cafe, and B, our lovely Liz decided to, again, properly retire to go off on fabulous caravanning holidays. Very jealous. So we are getting some of our volunteers to go out and experience different outreaches, because obviously, as you can imagine, with locations across the entire county, every place is a little bit different. And we feel like it's important to find the right people to fit with the right location. So some people are just better suited to some than others. I certainly know I had a volunteer today who said that they're really interested to come to Portishead when we do the move. And I've had another one who I believe some of you might already know from Tea and Tech, called Phil. He's one of our volunteers as well, and he's really keen to come as well. You'll also get some of our paid advisors as well. So Julie and Leanne might come along as well. So yeah, I think it is very doable to sustain it. And it was only because...
So basically, because the SLA has been running, I think, from 22, 23.
Yeah.
It's just had a blip more recently in that arrangement. I think that's the same. Thank you. And the other bit I just wanted to clarify, does that mean that all the contacts through CAB with Portishead residents, do they happen on a Friday, or do they happen that because we could talk about the Friday drop-in, but I'm unclear about how much of contacts happen outside of that day. I assume they happen through the week. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so it won't always be seeing people on a Friday. It can be variable. So like I said, before COVID, we operated a pure drop-in system. Since coming out of COVID, we operate a multi-channel system. So we have our advice line, helpline, we do callbacks, we do emails, we do in person. So not all people want to be seen in person. Not all people have the capability to be seen in person. So it's about making sure we have as many routes into the service for the local residents as physically possible. And so for instance, when people come in via phone or when they come in via email, which they do sometimes, we generally ask how they would like to be advised so that we can try and personalize the service to what their preference is. We are honest and we say, you know, we can't always honor it, but we do our very best. So
That's
if a
fine.
client, yeah.
That's fine. So my understanding, so it could be different CAB advisors picking
Yes.
people. That's the thing I wanted to make sure I was clear on. Although we might get to know the faces of those that come on Fridays, there will be other people within the organisation dealing with people from Portishead.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the way I always like to look at it is our outreaches are there for people to come into, absolutely, but also it's an entry into the whole service. So again, it depends what the issue is as well, because if it's, say, a benefits appeal, then we would say, well, actually, you're better suited to going into our specialist welfare benefit appeals team. And so they would see that team instead. So you don't just get the person that turns up on the day, you get the whole service and you get
that's helpful, because I think the danger is we just focus on Fridays if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Very informative report you've produced, Sam. Thank you. I just wondered in relation to the arrangements that you will be having in the folk hall as to the room arrangements and so on, and the confidentiality that some people will be bringing forward in relation to their one-to-one or their talk, and how's that likely to operate?
Dan, do you want me to answer that to a certain degree? Because because obviously we were talking about not the clash, but obviously the shared use that we've got with our resident drop-ins on a Friday happening at the same time as well. So we've been working with Mike, our halls manager, to identify the availability of the space, but also of the fed-in room as well. So from a practical point of view, we should be able to achieve that and increase the confidentiality space that's available to CANS as well. So I don't know if you've got anything to add to that as well, Sam.
Also, I'd say that we're really used to operating in open spaces as well. So in Weston, we operate an advice shop model. So again, it's a big open space, and we have a lot more people in it than we would have in the folk hall. So it's quite easy to separate people out. And generally, we've found our experience to be that people don't listen to other people because they are so focused on themselves and their issue. And obviously, if clients were uncomfortable at any point, they could say so, and we would make alternative arrangements for them.
Well, you yourself earlier in your report, Sam, mentioned that you sometimes have challenging people turning up.
Yes, we do. But do you know what? We are very used to that. Obviously, people come to us in distress because no one comes to Citizens Advice as a general rule because their life is exactly where they want it to be. So we're very experienced at diffusing situations, helping people to understand that we're here to help and there is a way through and we will help them to find it. And I think it's that reassurance that is really helpful. And again, Claire shares that as well, which is really lovely to have. I think that.
Yeah.
Sam?
And welcome back. I mean, you were here in the 90s, I think, and
yes,
and I think it was also a Friday. Correct, Roger?
Not sure if it was a Friday, but I do remember them being here back in the 90s. Yeah.
Thank you.
One last thing.
Feel like old.
just to say that there's, of course, that end area where there are screens available. There's the Fedden room, and I suspect that Claire will be out here.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think it should work. Seeing, you know, the logistics and knowing how Sue works as well.
Yeah.
I think it's quite easy to see how it would work here.
Yeah, no, indeed. So if I just fetch us back to the agenda, we've strayed into item number 8. So we'll probably go on to 8 and then we'll come back to 7. Sorry, Kim, just to go through your update. But I think in summary, Sam, I mean, thanks obviously to the Beacon Hub for being able to host you for the time and the period that they have done. But as you said, the service is outgrowing that space, and you know, potentially even stopping them from growing the additional capacity and space that they need in the cafe on a Friday. You know, which is one of their key revenue streams as well for the Beacon Hub. But yeah, we've got a number of recommendations or a number of points that we've got through number 8. But in effect, the recommendation to accept and approve the amendments and authorise the Deputy Clerk to sign the revised service level agreement on behalf of the Council, which I think, Steve, as Sam mentioned, if it's curtailed in December, just to understand how that's working and whether there's anything that we need to do in review of how it's operating. Yes, David?
Just one point in relation to the 10 points.
Yep.
For this recommendation is in relation to the minimum of 3 members of CANS and PTC staff in attendance to fulfil the requirements of the Council Loan and Working Policy. I don't think there is I think the minimum requirement would be 2 rather than 3, because otherwise we'll get into difficulty when, say, Claire goes on leave or one of the 2 CANS workers goes on leave. So I would suggest losing that as a condition. I mean, it's obviously important that there are 2 people here in view of some of the difficulties.
Yeah, maybe we remove the number and change point 8 to a minimum of workers to fulfil the requirements of the council loan worker policy, and we'll remove that number just to keep it in line with whatever the policy requirement is at the time. We'll keep it more mobile, but yeah. Okay, so in that, Mike? Yeah.
Just one query. I'm not sure if it's down under the amendments or whether it's being added tonight. This concept of ending the SLA in December. Why don't we just call it a review of the existing SLA? Because it's, rather than an ending, I think that's simpler, and the current one's got longer to run anyway. That was all my.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair, I'd be more than happy to say that we will just bring forward the review. Yeah.
Yep. And okay, so on that basis, then I can propose that recommendation, and Mariam is to side, and all of those in favour. That's unanimous. Yep. Fantastic. And Sam, thank you very much. As you said, very informative, and we'll take summary of that information to be able to publish that as well. I know there's a written report that will be coming in due course as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Kim. So we're back to agenda item number 7, which is the sort of the summary, really, I guess, in terms of the SLA for the last year. Feel free to join us at the table and introduce yourself, Kim, to the wider. Everybody should know you, but yeah, introduce yourself, and over to you.
Thank you. So I'm Kim James. I'm Head of Centre at Portishead Youth and Community Centre. And just wanted to start by saying thank you so much to the Town Council for all their support ongoing with this SLA, but also with other funding that we've been supported with, and yeah, just generally for the landlord support as well that we get. You know, this centre is busier than it's ever been with lots of different things going on. So having people that understand what we're doing and value it and recognise it is really important to us. I sent over to be included as part of the meeting our reports. I hope everyone's been able to see that. So I won't go through it in huge detail because there's quite a lot of information in there, but just to kind of go through a few highlights, if that's okay. Yeah, this year we've been working really hard on embedding lots of kind of changes that were in the pipeline last year. So things like our new website started being used early last year and has made a massive difference already in terms of our processes and our ability to kind of streamline our admin and ultimately give us more time to be able to work with the people that actually need our support rather than manually typing in membership forms and processing payments for activities. So that's been a huge benefit. We've also seen lots of new people coming into the centre in terms of volunteering their time. So we've had some new members of our board of trustees, which has really been great in kind of diversifying the range of different skills and backgrounds that our board of trustees come from. And it's really good to have different people that reflect different areas of Portishead as part of our management team, basically. Our kind of key thing that we're really, really proud of is that we worked with ITV last year to do a feature on a day in the life of Portishead Youth and Community Centre. So I've been involved in the centre for nearly 19 years now, and we've never had anything like this before. So yeah, that was very exciting. And young people who are doing activities, especially our young footballers, were hoping that somebody might watch them on TV and scout them for a football team. So yeah, it was really nice to see lots of different
roles looking for new.
So yeah, they were very excited to be part of it, and yeah, it was just nice that they really wanted to celebrate the centre that's theirs, as well, as much as people that come in for dance classes, people that hire rooms from us as well. It's through that piece, if you do have time to watch it, it's about half an hour long, but it's just really nice to see that even people that just come once a week, it means something to them, and that's something that's really special and unique about what we do just down the road. So yeah, we have lots of aims and targets as part of our funding with you, and it's areas that we've had various successes with. There's always room for improvement, and we're always really pushing ourselves and trying to do more and more, and also constantly trying to make sure that we're reflecting the needs of our community as well. So whilst these areas were set at the start of our SLA and will run for 5 years, there is scope within them to be able to be flexible to changing up what we deliver in order to reach those outcomes. So yeah, we're really pleased with the work that we've been doing with families and preschool children. There's lots of really lovely testimonials in the report about how much of a difference it makes to local people. And we've been expanding our reach by working with different small businesses to bring different activities and different areas of expertise to our provision as well, which has been amazing. We have also seen really lovely improvements in young children's kind of self-confidence and kind of readiness for going on to the next stage of life. So whether that's in going to school or going to preschool from our creche, there's some really lovely stories there about the impact that our staff have made in the short few hours that we might have them as part of our activities. So yeah, it's really nice to see that too. We've had a huge increase in young people becoming members of the youth centre. So yeah, incredible number of new profiles being created on our website. So yeah, those profile creations then correlate into activities or trips or workshops that children and young people have been booked into. So yeah, we're really, really pleased with that. And the number of young people engaging in specialist activities as well, has also increased. So in September, October last year, we started launching some new kind of specific activities for young people. So young people who are really interested in kind of more strategic board games. Yeah, it might be things like chess, but it could also be kind of board games that are involved a lot of kind of thinking and gameplay and tactics and stuff. That's building in numbers every week. We've run a second Dungeons and Dragons group because of the demand on our evening session. And yeah, young people are enjoying being able to do something a little bit different. You know, just because you're not into sports or you're not into arts and crafts or dance, it doesn't mean that, you know, there's nothing for you. So, you know, that's really positive. We continue to make a real difference to young people's mental health. And you know, supporting them with their social and emotional learning. So there's quite a in-depth explanation of the measure that we use, our strengths and difficulties questionnaire. Yeah, you can see on there the difference that we're making in different areas. There are still areas that, you know, we'd like to see more of an improvement on for our young people. You know, there is kind of this long, ever continuing impact of the COVID pandemic, and ultimately that's always going to be there in terms of young people's ability to socialise and engage with each other and communicate, and that will have a knock-on effect on how they get on with their peers and how they can cope with emotional situations. But it's something that we're conscious of, and it's something that we can then focus interventions with young people on to support them in those areas in particular. This year, we've had the most incredible number of volunteers supporting our youth club sessions. Duke of Edinburgh has been the activity of the year. So many inquiries for young people wanting to come in and do their volunteering with us. Some young people who have been absolutely incredible and have wanted to continue to then train up the next cohort of volunteers, which for me, and like as a sense of ownership of the centre, is just incredible. Then a lot of them also moving on to paid work as well within the centre as well. So really kind of starting out doing a couple of hours a week of volunteering and then it becoming a real part of their weekly schedule and something that they're really proud of is something that, you know, it's really lovely to see from our young people. So we've had more volunteers in the last year or so than we've had for any other year so far. So yeah, we're really impressed with the numbers on that. And young people have been also actively involved in ASDAN qualifications as well. So a lot of young people we work with, you know, they might just have a real passion for learning and, you know, really interested in learning new things and being able to get a qualification. But for some others, it's actually really key to their CVs. You know, the qualifications that they're going to get from school might not be necessarily what they would like in an ideal world, or might be something that's very, very out of reach for them for whatever reason. So being able to offer something that's a little bit more hands-on and vocational is really important for our young people. And we've been really pleased with the variety of things that we've been able to support them with. So yeah, loads of projects, activities, trying out new things, new aspirations. And I think that's what's really key about what we offer at the Youth and Community Centre. It's that safe place for people to try something new. And if they don't like it, that's fine. But if it's, you know, the thing that sparks their enthusiasm or makes them think differently about the world, then we've done our job really well. And then finally, our senior citizens. So that area of work came out of the COVID pandemic and lots of local people being very isolated and lonely. And yeah, like the impact that makes on people is incredible. We have a lot of individuals recently who have experienced bereavement, people who have been diagnosed with dementia, and the kind of more practical kind of, you know, thinking and care. It's not just people coming for an activity and having a bit of lunch or a piece of cake on a Monday. It's actually thinking, well, you know, how's that person going to get to us? Like, if they're struggling with dementia, are they going to find themselves lost halfway down the high street, not wondering where they're going? Or, you know, how are they getting themselves back home safely? Or, you know, they've told me this, today that I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, we need to make sure that we speak to their families and make sure that they're aware of actually what's going on here, because a lot of our seniors don't necessarily have family that live close, and so, you know, we are that kind of connection and that link in a lot of cases. So yeah, it's a really, really, really important. We've had, unfortunately, a couple of our members pass away recently, and then it's the knock-on impact on the rest of the group, and you know, losing a friend. And so, you know, there's been a lot of quite difficult things that have happened recently that, you know, as a group, they've been able to support each other, and having our staff as well, you know, caring for them is absolutely vital. As much as there's been lots of sadness, there's also been lots of fun and lots of really positive activities. There's been trips out. They love a party. So yeah, our summer and Christmas parties have become quite well known and legendary, and we're really looking forward to doing a commemorative event for VE Day as well in May. So yeah, we've also going to have the Marmalade Committee. So the seniors have decided they want to start a little enterprise to raise money, and so they're going to yeah, all get together once a month and make batches of marmalade that they can then sell. So yeah, it's all like these like extracurricular things that are coming out of all these groups and these relationships. So yeah, it's just never ending. Absolutely never ending. There's always something going on and a new idea and a new activity. But yeah, we're incredibly proud, and yeah, thank you so much for your support.
Janet,
I was just going to say, this is really brilliant, and it's what a fantastic report, really helpful description of everything you do. I think I totted up that you see something like 15,000 residents. It's probably some of the same people from time to time. That's a huge sort of contribution to community life. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
I'm interested in your school refusers group. How are you getting on with that? Because I thought you said you were looking to try and get a venue for them.
Yeah, so there's been a few changes with regards to our alternative provision team. So at the moment, we have got enough space based on the staff that we've got working at the moment. Yeah, who knows what the future will hold. That as a kind of group tends to get a bit quieter towards the summer holidays, because a lot of our students are in year 11, so then they'll be going into exam period, and then they'll no longer be going to school. So it's a constantly changing kind of situation, depending on the funding that the schools have, the needs of the young people, kind of what point in their educational life they're in, whether they have been accepted and in a school place, you know, in a mainstream or special educational needs school that can meet their needs. So yeah, you know, it's kind of almost constantly changes of people coming and going.
Can I add to that and ask, do they attend to you full time?
No.
And what sort of learning do they do?
So it's all part-time provision. So we're not Ofsted registered, and we don't offer full-time, mainly because of space as well. Most of our work with young people in terms of alternative provision is around social and emotional learning. A lot of young people, you know, they're not inherently naughty. You know, there's always a reason behind behaviours, and it's us having the time to be able to try and help unpick that, and understand what's causing those behaviours that are making it difficult for them to be able to sit in a classroom as 29 other children, and either help to support them to be able to go back into the classroom with lots of different coping mechanisms, and, you know, kind of helping them to understand their emotions and regulate their behaviour, or providing them with an environment that actually suits their needs better. So yeah, a lot of it is kind of more therapeutic support. There will be support around kind of functional skills level, maths and English, and for some of our year 11s that are going to be doing GCSEs, we've been supporting them with their revision, but we're not teachers. You know, we're not tutors. We're not there to teach them. We're there to help them, to support them with their learning. So whatever that might look like, it might be sitting down over a past paper together and working through it as a joint effort, and helping to impart some knowledge to them as we go through a past paper. Or it might be doing a cooking activity, and you know, by the very means of following a recipe, they're then looking at timings and measurements, and so we're looking at math skills. So yeah, there's a big spectrum in terms of different ways that children and young people who come to us for alternative provision will learn, and yeah, it all just depends on individual needs.
Is it interesting because, sorry, Dave, can I just add to that very quickly? When we did the last mental health workshop last year, one of the major issues was that the parents that came along, in all cases, had children that were school refusers, and in the most cases, they were also self-harming. Do you find that too?
I wouldn't say as much with the young people that we're working with at the moment, but yeah, ultimately not being in school, not being around friends, having limited social contacts and stuff, that will have an effect on mental health, and then how that then is presented with each individual will be different. So yeah, it's something definitely to be aware of and conscious of.
David?
It's okay.
So I meant to ask you a question. It's just from all your contacts with Portishead residents over the years, are there any things, apart from more funding, that you think the town council can be doing to support our youngsters?
I think it's about access to opportunities and like raising aspirations. So a lot of young people that we come across, they don't really know what they want to do. They don't know kind of what the next plan is, even when they finish GCSEs, like, you know, what they want to do at college. And, you know, it's this big daunting kind of scary decision that has to be made, and it's kind of maybe feels a little bit to some of them like, you know, if they don't make the right decision, it's going to completely impact on the rest of their life. And I think, yeah, you know, we live in, you know, a lovely town, and, you know, there's great stuff going on here, but it does, you know, it does feel like a little bit of a bubble. And, you know, there's a big wide world out there, and it's, yeah, how we can try and bring some of that kind of that broader experience and opportunities into our town, or make it easier for young people to access it outside of the town, if that's more appropriate, so that they can get a better understanding about what's actually out there, what's available. So yeah, I think that would be the thing for me.
Thank you, David. I've just jotted a few things down as you were running through there, Kim, and I think it's the exposure, really, I guess, in terms of what the Youth and Community Centre does in terms of the comprehensive service offering that you have, and it's about getting that out. I mean, it's from, you know, local authority approved alternative provision right the way through to shopping trips with the over 55s. There's such a broad range of, you know, of everything that we're doing, and as much as you are there for the community, it's a community in its own right as well, isn't it? You know, everybody, there's always somebody there that's sort of, every time you go in, there's always somebody there that's laughing, there's literally always somebody there providing, you know, at any time of the day. You've always got somebody in the centre, you've always got somebody using it. So yeah, and I guess unashamedly, sort of from the website point of view, just to promote that there's a fundraising link on there as well, so we'll make sure that we put that in our sort of update, and I think sort of collectively from all of us, it's just a thank you to you and your team, because it's the people, isn't it? It's the people that make it, and that is you and the team. So yeah, a massive thank you from all of us, just for the provision. It's an amazing service. You just want more people to experience it, to see what as you said, what an asset you are to Portishead, really.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, can I just ask you, did you the fridge list?
The fridge list, yes, that was
Does it go out?
Amanda has got that, so yeah, I'm pretty sure she's got it stuck underneath her whiteboard where she sits in the office. There's a list of different organisations on there, so yeah, she's very good at sharing information about local groups and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Emma and I did the fridge list, didn't we?
Oh, we did, yeah. A little side tangent. Okay, so thank you again, Kim.
No worries. Anything else for me?
No. You are free to leave. You may skip out.
Skip out. Thank you for your time, everyone.
No worries.
Wow. I need to work out. There's a tree that I need to speak to somebody about, but I don't know if it's North Somerset or Town Council. Yeah. I'll find out who the tree person is at some point, and then I might come to another meeting to talk about my tree.
You'd be more than welcome.
Thanks. See you.
Okay, so that does fetch us on to agenda item number 9, which is the tree work in Heavens Lane, and this is by Wedgwood Redcliffe Bay. So I think it was in March's Community Matters meeting that we had our the residents sort of come and explain what was going on, and at that point we had a decision to make as to what it was that we were going to do with the tree, whether it was to reduce it to a monolith or be able to sort of fell it to the ground. So we've got, I just need to open the other attachment here, bear with. Here we go. So we've gone out to 3 contractors and we have got the 3 options back. So the option 1 from the first contractor was to reduce the beech tree to a stump, which would be sort of just around just over £10,000 on that one. The second option was again sort of coming in just under £10,000, and option B was to fell to the ground or to a monolith of 4 meters, removing the crown, and that's the bit that's actually that we were worried about with the sort of the breaking, really, I guess, of the main stem as well. So the recommendation that we've got here is to approve quote B, which is £3,150 plus the VAT, and address that either to a monolith or to fell one of the beech trees, and that's provided that the planning application is granted, which I think has been now, isn't it? Bear with me a sec. Oh, yeah, okay, bear with me a sec. No, it's providing that the planning application has been granted. Mike, do you wish to add?
Well, Emma, I mean, thank you. This particular tree planning application did go through our hands at PAG,
Yeah.
and we agreed, due to the report that we received from the Malifants, that it was necessary to probably allow its felling. Certainly the consultants said that if it didn't come down now, it would have to come down in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
We didn't come to any conclusion as to whether it was left as a stump or clean felled to ground level. It's quite a significant tree. It is one of 3, but it does have fairly big prominence in the street scene. And the decision as to whether it's replaced or what fills the gap remains to be seen. I did wonder, in relation to how it remains, we could perhaps leave the Malifants to make that decision, as it's very much bearing on their garden. And of course, it was the bough that broke off that caused the whole investigation to proceed.
Yeah.
That would be my view, I think.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike.
I think, Mike, we decided that it should be felled completely.
I think you're right, Mariam. Yes, we did. I think that was our personal preference, but we're not living next to it.
Yeah. Roger. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to ask a question. It says quotations were requested from 3 contractors. I'm assuming that 1 contractor didn't respond, as we seem to have A, 1 and 2 and B, yeah?
Yeah, so there was the 2 options from the 1 contractor, and then this is a second second option from the second contractor.
Thank
Yeah. David, did you want to?
I was just going to agree with Mariam. I think we agreed that we'd take it down, but by whatever the who was taking it down recommended us to do.
Yeah.
But taking it right down to the base seemed like the safer option at any rate.
It does, but I guess we do probably need to hand over the decision to the tree experts, really, I guess, don't we?
And I think if they fell it completely, that they would replace it with another tree, apparently, is what the rules are that we have to do. I think was the outcome of our discussion from PEG.
Okay. So clarity then on a recommendation, Steve. We can approve the quote for 3,050 plus the VAT. And the decision really, I guess, in terms of safety as to whether that's a monolith or felled to the ground, to leave with the tree surgeon themselves.
Yes, Chair, we're quite happy to do that. The reason usually a monolith is suggested is because it provides quite a long lasting habitat for insects. But yeah, that's the main reason.
Yeah, Janet.
I have a folk memory of having discussed this before in March and us deciding on a monolith.
We at that point we still needed the report from the tree surgeon, which obviously now we've had the two quotes following actual investigation that we've had. But as I said, I'm not sure necessarily whether residents had any preference, but the preference was the safety of the and our visitors, obviously, as well. So.
Could I just make one small point on this one, please, Chair? Is that I think we should add maybe a few words just to say that because this tree is not on our land, the reason we're taking this action and spending this money is because of the potential impact on our property. So just so we don't establish a precedent.
No, absolutely. No, that's it is the it's the health and safety, obviously, of Redcliffe Bay Hall. And the location, and we've also been through the North Somerset route on this as well.
And Sharon's got her hand up as well.
Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't put my hand up on the thing. I seem to have lost my icon. Yeah, unfortunately, we're just waiting for North Somerset Council to come back to tell us what we can or can't do with the tree. We don't have that overriding decision, I'm afraid.
Okay.
We applied for planning permission to either fell or monolith, and we're waiting for the decision from them to tell us what we can or can't do with the tree.
Did we have a recommendation from the tree surgeon themselves?
Well, a report was included with the application itself to North Somerset Council, and the quotes we've got come through. We've got quotes for both. So when we do get the permission come through, we can just rock and roll with whatever they've given us permission to do.
Okay. So I can propose that if I can get a seconder for Roger. Thank you. So that's 3,050. And as you said, we'll add the additional notes in regards 3,150. I wish it was 350. 3,150 plus the VAT. And as Sharon, you mentioned, to either monolith or fell, depending on what the TPO is granted once it goes through the committee in North Somerset. Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, all in favour. Sorry, passed that one, didn't I? Yeah, that's an all in favour. Thank you for keeping me in line. Item number 10 then, our signposting and referrals officer report from Claire. I've read through that as everybody else. Is there any questions or anything in regards? No.
Just glad to see the good work continuing.
Yeah.
I think she does an excellent job. It's good to see a regular report as well.
Yeah.
May she continue on with the good work.
Can I add to that? One of the things that Claire has said is because she's not at the Beacon Hub, both on Friday morning and on Tuesday, she sees a different sort of clientele, and she thinks that she's lost quite a lot of her normal people because she's now in the library, and a lot of those people don't go to the library. So she's hoping that when we come in here that she'll get her normal clientele back, because she was helping a lot more people in more emotional ways prior to moving to the library.
Yeah, no, indeed. And hopefully, I guess, given a continuity of space and us being able to have a complementary, I don't know the way to put it, but just another channel, really, I guess, for people to be dropping, sort of the notes in and everything else, and having the staff trained in, just being able to sort of, take and refer. Yeah, I think hopefully that will just broaden the scope of all of our residents that we can help as well. So yeah, no, thank you. Item number 11 is the town floral arrangements. So there's a report attached to the agenda regarding the floral arrangements, and a recommendation that we look to support the ongoing floral arrangements for 25-26. So that estimated cost is £18,560.38, and that's made up of the actual flowers themselves and obviously the contract for the watering, and everything that we've got. So we obviously know it's part of, it helps with our tourism, it helps with just the general sort of feeling of well-being as well. I mean, it is a substantial cost. It's definitely a substantial cost given everything else that we've been discussing, with the funding of the other services for well-being. But I guess we also need to consider the overall well-being that we've got in terms of the town and the environment that we're so blessed to be living in as well. Roger.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, are these the hanging baskets and the planters, or just the hanging baskets?
Hanging baskets and additional plants.
Throughout the high street and
the marina and
slightly
what we've
further
got,
afield as well.
Yeah, and the precinct.
Which I agree, give an absolutely fantastic display all through the summer. I noticed last year that the hanging baskets, they put in hanging baskets with like water reservoirs inside them, which hopefully will mean that even if we do have a prolonged dry spell, that and let's all hope we do have a long dry spell, that we won't incur too much in additional charges on that.
Yeah, there's it's an estimate obviously of the watering cost based on where we were last year. Sharon will probably come in and tell me if I'm talking rubbish on that one, but yeah, in essence, it's this is in addition to the work that Portishead in Bloom do, and yeah, it's an overall package really, I guess. You in, Sharon?
Yeah, lovely. Okay. Yeah, it's based on last year's costs and a little increase of, I think, of up to 5%.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can make that recommendation if I can have a seconder, Roger. Yeah. And if the committee is all in favour. Oh, indeed. Okay, fantastic. Right. Item number 12. I've got 3 things written down, obviously up for sort of debate, and this is our communications plan for the next or from this meeting rather, not for the next meeting. So I've jotted down here the carnival summary, the updates that we've had probably from Portishead Youth and Community Centre with a fundraising link, and the parking consultation. I don't know if anybody has got anything else, and the move to here, obviously. Yep. Yes, yeah, the ITV video I've stuck on there. So yeah, if that's good for everybody. Yeah, so we've got four points there, Steve. Anything to add, Roger? No, all good. Fantastic. So that fetches us to item number 13, date of next meeting, which is Wednesday, the 28th of May, and that will be same time.
I might putting a spanner in the work here. Because of the works to the hall, the replacement of the fire doors is now looking like it will be deferred by a couple of weeks, which means that the hall could be closed at the time of your next meeting. Now, we're not 100% sure on that. It looks like it's going to happen. So It depends how much business we've got come forward for the committee, but it might be because there's a council meeting the following week that if anything urgent comes forward, we can put it to council and cancel the next meeting and give you a night off.
That makes sense.
Give you a night off.
Do you know, I was going to give my absence for that meeting because I have to be in London for work. So this works out really well for me.
No, that's fine. We'll play that by ear then. We'll put that as a proposed date and time and location, and if anything needs to move to full town council at the following. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, that's it. We confirm meeting closed at 21:15. Thank you. Thanks everybody.